Big shot American banker Jamie Dimon is allowed to skip quarantine when he jets into Hong Kong, and he returns the favor by throwing shade at the city that hosted him and making fun of China. Then, before Beijing can even react, he eats humble pie. Much ado about nothing, you may think, but there is much to learn from this silly episode. So Jamie Dimon, CEO of JPMorgan Chase, flew into Hong Kong recently in his private jet to hold a town hall or something with a bunch of fat cat moneylenders here. The head of America's biggest bank was in Hong Kong for just 32 hours to do whatever it was that apparently could not be accomplished with simple video conferencing. But that was enough for groveling local officials to exempt him from the mandatory 21 days of COVID-19 quarantine imposed on much lesser mortals in a city that has earned notoriety for its merciless pandemic control regime. They bent over backwards to accommodate His Majesty, just like they did for Hollywood star Nicole Kidman some months earlier. And this time, right after announcing the ostensible scrapping of quarantine exemption privilege for pretty much everyone to shut out a virus that makes no class distinction. And how did Dimon thank Hong Kong for the royal treatment as soon as he was back home in the US? By making snide remarks about diminishing free speech in Hong Kong and, this is rich, complaining that the city's quarantine rules, which he bypassed, were detrimental to its economy. Not only that, he also boasted about a clever joke he cracked in Hong Kong. The Communist Party is celebrating its 100th year. So is JPMorgan, and I'll make you a bet we last longer. The wisecrack in itself may be harmless enough to be dismissed as such. But this is China we're dealing with, a country that feels it is under siege from constant criticism and provocation by crusading Western powers, and whose government and citizens have become quite touchy about any perceived insult. For all his bluff and bluster, Dimon knows which side his gluten-free bread is buttered on, and was quick to follow up with an apology even before Beijing could react. With foot firmly in mouth and eating crow like a pro, the big shot banker expressed remorse in a contrite statement issued by his company. "I regret and should not have made that comment. I was trying to emphasize the strength and longevity of our company," he said. Then, in a further demonstration of penance, Dimon issued a second apology. "It's never right to joke about or denigrate any group of people, whether it's a country, its leadership, or any part of a society and culture," he said. "Speaking in that way can take away from constructive and thoughtful dialogue in society, which is needed now more than ever." Okay, Boomer. And there you have it, folks. King Jamie kowtowed to Beijing because, at the end of the day, it's all about the money. America's biggest bank cannot afford to offend China with tens of billions of dollars at stake while doing business in the country. Not after JPMorgan only this year secured the approval of regulators from the Communist Party to become the first full foreign owner of a securities brokerage in China. And the wider lesson here, the bigger takeaway, far beyond one loudmouth banker's faux pas, is crystal clear. For all the sanctimonious preaching, political posturing, virtue signaling, gaslighting, and saber-rattling that the US and its allies direct at China, their ideological bottom line is their financial bottom line. Money is the lubricant that oils the relationship, no matter how dysfunctional, and no matter how fierce the rhetoric from government officials, politicians, or business leaders performing to home crowds with the anti-China narrative. Whatever their political persuasion, no matter how much in vogue it is to talk tough on China, they all worship at the altar of Mammon at the end of the day. And his temple is in China, whether they like it or not. So just strip away all the chatter and bovine feces, and the only agenda boils down to 4 words. Show me the money.